You can stop negative thoughts today, become a happier person, and change your life for the better. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Sophie, and this is another episode of Absurdly Aquarian. Today I'll be talking to you about how to stop thinking negative thoughts. We all get into this habit of thinking negative thoughts that more often than not don't contribute to our life in any positive way. But we get into a habit and it's quite hard to break it unless you're making a conscious shift. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can become happier by stopping your negative thought loops. Negative thoughts are essentially a protection mechanism our mind puts up. We start worrying about things that haven't occurred yet because our mind is under the impression that if we think them through enough, we can protect ourselves from anything. But what we often don't realize is that there's an irrationality with our thoughts, and we're worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. There's a saying that goes, worry doesn't take away tomorrow's pressures. It only takes away today's peace. So I'm going to try and show you ways that you can incorporate into your daily life to become a happier person and stop your negative thoughts from having a grip on you. Before we identify what helps, we have to get conscious about what doesn't help us. And this is something that I think we all engage in far too often. When we start thinking negative thoughts, we simply ignore them. We push them to the side and try and put them in a dark box so that we don't have to engage with them. But what ends up happening, kind of like a dam you put to a river, the water doesn't simply disappear. It builds up pressure. And once the pressure gets too much, all this build-up negativity is released into your mind at once. So you're not actually benefiting yourself at all. You're just delaying the hurt and the uncomfortability of negative thinking. The same thing happens with distraction. If you're distracting yourself from negative thinking, all you're doing is delaying the problem. You're not getting to the root cause of it. If you're trying to consume drugs or alcohol to make yourself feel better, you often end up making the problem worse. Because what ends up happening is now you're not only feeling bad about your negative thoughts, you're feeling bad about your behaviors as well. And especially alcohol, known as a depressant, can really amplify the experiences you're having with negative thoughts. Have you ever gone out on a day you were in a bad mood and seen how alcohol has changed you for the worse? You're starting to get angry, you're starting to get really upset, you're arguing with people, you wake up the next morning hungover and really embarrassed with yourself and feeling guilty. You're never feeling better for it. So don't engage in distractions. Try and get to the root cause and start to be conscious. So now that we've identified what doesn't help us in ignoring, distracting, engaging in self-destructive behavior, what can we do to really help ourselves at first when we start seeing the first signs of negative thinking? A few negative thoughts pop into our head, and what can we do now to stop it, to make ourselves feel better and take back control? First of all, there's a beautiful book by Derek Howell that is very insightful on how to eliminate negative thoughts. So if you're wanting to get into this topic deeper than I can today, please go check out the book Eliminate Negative Thoughts by Derek Howell. You will find that it takes you through all the different steps you can take actively to improve your life and make your mind a nicer place to be. My grandma always says that you're the only person you're spending the rest of your life with. And we live so much of our lives in our heads So let's make sure it's a nice place to be. Getting back to negative thinking, what can help us at first? What can we do? One of the first steps you can take is to change your body language. Even just pulling back your shoulders from slouching, putting on a smile, even if you don't feel like it, can help change your perspective and shift your focus. It's known by scientists that smiling for even a couple of seconds releases hormones that signal your brain that you're having a good time, that there's something worth smiling about. And this short shift can really stop you from spiraling out of control with your negative thinking. Another great way of stopping your negative thoughts when they first start occurring is talking to someone. This might sound really daunting to some people, and I'm one of them. I really don't like expressing my thoughts, especially when they're negative and I'm having negative emotions towards myself or my life. I don't like burdening people with that. But more often than not, you find that you're not only helping yourself, you're also helping the other person, because we all like doing good, nice things for other people. We enjoy being helpful. So maybe you're gaining perspective by talking to someone you really trust. And at the same time, you're giving them not only the opportunity to see their life in a different light, but also help out someone that they care about. So find someone that you're comfortable feeling vulnerable in front of. Maybe that's your mom, maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a colleague you're particularly close with. Whoever comes to mind first is the best person to talk to. Start expressing to them how you're thinking, how it makes you feel, and usually you will find that the more you speak things through, the more irrational they start occurring to you, and you stop worrying about things, because half the time the negative thoughts that occur are more leading on from what we thought before than actually issues that we're dealing with. We're just getting into the habit of thinking more negative thoughts. My favorite way of combating negative thoughts is meditation. This is something I practice every day now, and although I find it sometimes really challenging to get into a quiet state of mind, take yourself out of the situation by giving yourself 5 minutes of sitting down, closing your eyes, breathing in and out, returning back to your body and sensing everything that's around you. Start seeing your mind as a dear friend who's engaging, but you're just observing what they're doing. Your thoughts are like clouds drifting into your mind, but you don't have to engage with them. Simply let them go and enjoy the peace you feel, the quiet in your mind. Feel yourself more grounded. Even closing your eyes and consciously breathing for a couple of seconds can really help ground yourself back into reality. Oftentimes, we start switching to autopilot when we engage with negative thoughts. We're not even conscious of what we're thinking. We're just spiraling and spiraling down into more negative thinking. So come back to yourself. You're here. The peace within you is here. You don't have to look for it anywhere else. Just go within and reconnect to yourself for a couple seconds. Change your perspective. This is a huge one and goes hand in hand with a gratitude journal that I'm going to talk about later. Changing your perspective to seeing more good things in your life rather than constantly thinking the bad ones, the misery, the failures, the not so greats in your life over, can really help stopping that loop of negative thinking. If you're changing your focus onto things that are going well in your life, whenever you're having a negative thought, you're starting to put things in perspective and see how wonderful your existence really is. If your mind tells you, oh, I'm a failure, everyone is against me, remind yourself of a time when everyone was for you. And I promise you, there is a time in everyone's life. Start thinking back to a particularly dear moment with your friends. Start thinking back to an event that really changed your perspective. Start thinking about the music you like and how you enjoy the cup of coffee you're drinking in the morning, whatever it might be. It's different for all of us. But if you're taking yourself back to that happy place in your life, that happy place in your mind, you can stop negative thinking from having such a grip on you. Take a walk. Do some exercises. Scientists have found that if you're even engaging in 10 minutes of exercise or a short walk, by moving your blood, by moving your body and taking yourself out of the environment you're in when you're thinking negatively, you can start to shift your perspective. Especially walks in nature can hugely help because looking at the color green relaxes our eyes and signals our brain that we're not in danger. We're in a happy, healthy place. So whenever you find yourself thinking negative thoughts of how you won't succeed or how your life is horrible or how your situation won't change, get up from wherever you are, get out the door and walk around your neighborhood, even for 10, 15 minutes, and see how the grip your thoughts have over you starts getting more loose. Something that I really like to do and that's hugely helped me is positive affirmations. I will get into this topic in a later episode more deeply because there's so much more to be discussed. But affirmations can really help shift your perspective and also train your subconscious for success. We all want to live happy lives and be at peace with ourselves and the things happening around us. But in order to do that, we have to start telling ourselves all the things we want to attract. I wake up every morning and I think, today is going to be a great day. Today is going to be a great day. And from that, I start thinking all the good things I think of myself. I think, you're successful, you're loved, you're safe, you're secure. And by telling yourself these things and repeating them over, your subconscious mind starts recognizing them as important. And you're essentially rewiring your brain to think positive thoughts. You're taking yourself out of the negative mind loop and giving your subconscious something else to focus on. Scientists have found that if you repeat a thought over and over, your brain can't actually distinguish between reality and a thought. So as soon as you're thinking of something, your subconscious imagines it to be reality. So if you're constantly thinking, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get a cold, whatever, your brain starts signaling to your subconscious, there's something wrong. I think we're sick. And you're starting to look for all these signs of your illness that might not have even been there. But because you're repeating the thought, your subconscious recognizes it as important and it starts gripping onto it. So you're attracting more of that into your life. And let's face it, you want to live a happy life. You deserve to be happy and content and loved and successful. So start telling yourself these things. Keep a gratitude journal. Start each day by writing down 3 things that you're grateful for that day. That could be a cup of coffee you're having. It could be the sun shining through your window. It could be your fluffy blanket on your bed. It could be a particularly nice conversation you had the day before. Whatever comes into your mind first thing in the morning, Write that down and see how your perspective changes. The more you focus on the things that are good in your life, the more you're going to see yourself attracting good things to you. Because like attracts like, and we live in a world where the more we focus on something, the more experiences of that kind we attract to ourselves. Change your environment. This goes hand in hand with taking a walk or engaging in exercise, but taking yourself consciously out of the physical place you're having negative thoughts in can help shift your perspective and engage in your senses more. Get out the door, talk to your neighbor, see what happens to you, and start getting out of your head, because reality is happening now. And you're too precious. Your time is too precious on this planet to waste it in your head, to waste it on negative thoughts that won't lead you anywhere but into more despair. Try and look at your life with humor. If you're upset about something that's happened to you, maybe you spilled some coffee on your new rug, start seeing the humor in it. More often than not, when we come to things from a place of humor and irony, we start taking them less seriously and they become less daunting to us. I often do this when things seem really desperate and I don't know where to turn. I just start laughing. I try, even if I don't find the situation funny yet, start laughing and see the irony of all the things that have happened to you. I often go, who on earth could this have happened to? If I tell this to someone, they're going to think I'm ridiculous. And the more you engage in that, the more you take yourself actively out of the state of your negative thoughts controlling you and your mind. So these are some steps that you can take immediately once you start the first signs of negative thinking. Change your body language, talk to someone, meditate, change your perspective, take a walk, use positive affirmations, write a gratitude journal, change your environment, exercise, and engage in humor. But what are ways to get rid of negative thinking long term and start living happier lives? Something that I've found to be the most important first step is recognizing and acknowledging your thoughts. Oftentimes when we engage in negative thinking, we turn on autopilot and we stop being conscious of what we're thinking. All these things take control over us instead of us controlling our minds. So when you find yourself having negative thoughts, stop for a second. Stop now. Get present and think, what am I actually thinking? By taking yourself into the observer role and engaging with your mind through the eyes of a watcher, an observer, as you would in a meditation, you're starting to gain distance and the grip that negative thoughts have over you starts to loosen. Think, oh, I'm having this negative thought about failing all the time. That's really interesting. Don't judge. Don't try to beat yourself up about negative thoughts you're having. Simply sit there and take interest in what comes into your mind. You might be thinking something along the lines of, oh, I'm never going to find a perfect partner. Step back and think, that's an interesting thought. I wonder where that comes from. And see how that distance can help you stop spiraling out of control. Be a mindful observer of your thoughts. Start grounding yourself through your senses. There's an anxiety technique that is often recommended when you're having panic attacks, and it is to notice 5 things around you. 1 thing you're seeing, 1 thing you're hearing, 1 thing you're feeling, 1 thing you're smelling, and 1 thing you're tasting. And by engaging in this practice, you're grounding yourself into the present moment, where worries don't exist. Because The future is just a thought concept. It's not actually happened yet. The past is gone and the future hasn't arrived yet. So all you have is this present moment. Why would you waste your life worrying about things that might not even occur and making them more likely by giving them space and attention in your mind? Take yourself back. You are here right now. What is wrong with the moment you're in right now? Oftentimes when we start being present, we stop seeing any flaws. The present moment is perfect. You're exactly where you're meant to be. This is just another step on the beautiful path that is your life. Don't engage in future worry that might not even come into fruition. There's a saying that goes, today's worry doesn't take away tomorrow's issues. It only takes away today's peace. And why would you limit yourself from peace? Why would you stop yourself from having a good day today whilst thinking about things that might not even happen tomorrow? Get back to yourself and ground yourself by engaging in your senses. Try to record your automatic thoughts. What are thoughts you keep engaging in? What are things that are constantly coming up in your mind? Are there certain patterns that you can observe? Is there something that you keep falling into, a loop maybe? Is there a deeper meaning behind it if you observe it? Does it go back to a past trauma of yours? Is there something needing to be healed within you? Most of the times, the worry and the negativity that we experience is a wonderful way and an opportunity to heal what isn't healed inside of us yet. There's something that I come back to quite often, and it is, if I'm not perfect, no one will love me, everyone will leave me. That's a deep wound from my childhood that I have to consciously heal and try to disengage from every day. And I'm not saying that this will be easy or this will happen overnight, but the more conscious you get with the mind patterns you're in, the more you're realizing that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And the things that might upset you in your life around you usually come back to things you're feeling inside. It's not that people are being mean to you, it's the perception you have of how they speak to you. Focus on the big picture. See your life as a whole, rather than engaging in all the negative beliefs you have of yourself and your life. By taking yourself into a more broad view of who you are and what your life is, you're starting to notice that you're not doing yourself any good by limiting yourself to negative thoughts. Start being in the moment and gauging a holistic view of your life. More often than not, you're going to find that there's more positive things happening than negative around you. Practice self-compassion, and I think this is the biggest one for sure. This is where it all changes. When you start being compassionate with yourself, like you would with a child or with an old friend, and you observe yourself rather than judge yourself, you're getting into a place of mindfulness and self-love that eventually takes you to a more positive mindset. If you want to know more about this, please go read the book I recommended by Derek Howell, because he goes into more depth about how to stop worrying and overthinking. And I found the book to be hugely informational and insightful. But if you're not taking anything from this episode today, take this. You are perfect the way you are. You're exactly where you need to be. And there's no need to worry about things that don't occur. Start being concerned with the now. Connect to your senses and find the beauty that is all around you in your life. you're going to find yourself being a happier person for it. And by disengaging with your negative thoughts, not only will you strengthen your relationships and wire your brain towards success, you're also going to see life from a happier perspective. And that's what we all want, right? To be happy people. I'm going to leave you with that seed for thought. I hope that it enlightens something in you and you can start being more loving with yourself, more compassionate. Because, again, you're the only person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And you spend so much of that time in your mind. Make sure it's a happy place to be. I'm sending you all my love and light, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.